button masher, a term used to describe a fighting game player that's frantically hitting buttons without any clear strategy. In most fighting games, this won't get you very far, nor will it teach you much of anything. A major disconnect new players have when it comes to fighting games is that while they know combos are part of the genre, there is rarely a clear line of logic for what moves can be comboed into and off of each other. It can make fighting games feel weirdly obtuse, and leaves one of the most fun aspects of the genre, experimenting with combos, locked behind guesswork. The legacy of combos in fighting games is a long and weird one. While many think that the first instance of combos came from a glitch in Street Fighter II, they actually originate from the 1985 arcade game Shanghai Kid by Nihon Games, along with it being the first fighter to have special moves. Shanghai Kid had the rush system, where the word would pop up on the bottom of the screen and give you a limited time chance to land multiple attacks in rapid succession. It is surprisingly similar to the custom combo system seen in Street Fighter Alpha a decade later. But the game most people first experienced combos with is the aforementioned Street Fighter II. Originally a glitch, Capcom saw how popular it was with players and implemented combos intentionally in subsequent entries. The combo system in Street Fighter is based on links. Pretty simple math once you know the frame data, which new players don't, nor are they expected to. Here's how it works. Let's say you do a move that leaves you at 6 frames of advantage, meaning your opponent can't do anything for 6 frames while you can. Within those 6 frames, you can hit them with any move that starts up in 6 frames or fewer. Unless you know the frame data though, it's pretty unclear which moves can be linked together like this. It's a common confusion for first-time Street Fighter players when they can't do something as simple as comboing light punch into medium punch. With some characters, given their frame data, that's just not possible. Following the success of Street Fighter II at the start of the 90s, Capcom wanted to experiment with a new fighting game series, and in doing so, invented a mechanic that makes button mashing a legitimate form of self-teaching, one that can be explained in a single sentence. You can always combo weaker normals into stronger normals. Darkstalkers the Night Warriors, the first fighting game to have chain combos. Now instead of having to basically guess which moves combo into each other, you just have to know their power levels. The beauty in this kind of system is how easily it lets new players feel some degree of agency and skill. It cannot be understated how empowering it is for someone new to fighting games to be able to pull off even a 3-hit combo with moderate consistency. Simply by mashing buttons, new players get to see the combo counter rise just like it does for good players, and they learn the basics of how the combo system works without ever having to look anything up. This elevates the player to the extremely fun experimentation stage of learning almost immediately because of how simple the chain system is to both understand and execute. Darkstalkers uses the standard 6-button layout you know from Street Fighter, with light, medium, and heavy versions of punches and kicks. The way it's laid out on the arcade cabinet places the punch buttons above the kick buttons, which is actually the opposite of how the chain system works. In a chain, punches are seen as being below kicks in terms of power. Since the chain system works by only letting you go up in power but never down, this means that while you can combo light punch into light kick, you can't combo light kick into light punch. But it's best to look at these buttons as being a web of chains instead of a linear structure, and that's where the creative element of chain combos comes into play. You can go the simple route of going light punch into medium punch into heavy punch, but what if that isn't the best choice? Well, you have the option of taking your chain in a wide variety of directions. Because the game only checks the move's power, you can do things like starting that sample combo with a light kick instead of a light punch, or ending it with a heavy kick instead of a heavy punch, or going into a medium kick after your medium punch before ending it with a heavy punch. The point here being, you've got a lot of options. Exploring these different routes is crucial to finding the best combos for your character, especially in instances where certain moves cause too much pushback for the next move in the chain to reach your opponent. The various ways you can put combos together under a chain system gives players a lot of room to adapt their combos to specific situations, and this all started with Darkstalkers. In the decades that followed, we've seen many games take the Darkstalkers framework of chain combos and put their own spins on it. Just to name a few, Capcom's Marvel games called their variation of chain combos the Magic series, Melty Blood uses the beat edge system and also allows you to chain backwards, known as a reverse beat. Then there's Guilty Gear's Gatling system, which is a bit difficult to explain, but I will in a moment. If you're sensing a trend with the games listed though, you're right. Chain combo systems are now seen as a staple of faster-paced fighting games, mainly in the anime fighter subgenre. Now on Guilty Gear's Gatlings. In older Guilty Gear games, things used to be a lot less clear when it came to figuring out what comboed into what. The series' latest entry, Strive, is the first Guilty Gear game to have strict Gatling rules. The games before it were kind of arbitrary when it came to letting moves combo into each other, and some characters even had Melty Blood-esque reverse beats, most notably Faust. It's for this reason that the Dustloop wiki for these games leaves a whole section under each of a character's moves that tells you their Gatling options outright. But you can still figure these out most of the time by just mashing, since the majority of moves do combo into each other. Just personally, I prefer how the older Guilty Gear games handled this. Instead of sticking every character into this strict Gatling framework, Arcus was able to take the base Gatling framework and adapt it to each character based on feel. For one character, it may make total sense to let them combo forward kick into crouching slash, while it might not make sense for another character. I'd argue that having that loose framework let these characters feel more natural. If it felt like something should be able to combo into something else, there's a pretty good chance it could. I can see the argument that this stricter framework is better for beginners, but having a chain system of any kind already makes mashing a viable mode of self-teaching. By restricting the potential routes of a chain so heavily, you undercut the concept's biggest benefit: how quickly it brings new players to the point of experimentation. Is this me calling Strive a bad game? No, but it does confuse me. It feels odd that Strive's take on Gatlings is the only combo system in the game given how limited it is. It's got more depth than Street Fighter's target combos, that series' very light dalliance with a situational chain system, but is also meager, at least on its own, even when compared to the Darkstalkers system from 30 years prior. The Strive Gatlings feel like 50% of a combo system, with the other 50% being held up by Roman cancels and now Wild Assault. And perhaps that shows us the true beauty of the chain combo concept, its adaptability. In prior Guilty Gear games, the combination of a wide Gatling tree, multiple variations of Roman cancels, and now Wild Assault would have been damn near impossible to balance. There just would have been too many potential options to keep track of. Making the Gatling system uniform across all characters likely makes it easier to predict the potential effects of these other mechanics and future updates. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got Arcus Chroma, an upcoming indie fighter. I've gotten to spend a lot of time with this game's various demos, and I have never had more fun working on combos. The controls are really simple. You've got light, medium, and heavy attacks that chain into each other both up and down in terms of power level. The only rule is that you can't perform the same move twice in a juggle combo, but you can use your burst mid-combo to reset this list. Where this game sees its restrictions is with regard to special and super moves. Every character in the game only has 2 specials and 2 supers, and they all share the same simple motion inputs. Using the light and medium buttons with a quarter circle forward or quarter circle back gets you one of your character's special moves. Quarter circle forward plus heavy results in your level 1 super for 1 bar of meter, while quarter circle back plus heavy gets you your level 2 super for 2 bars. So while Guilty Gear Strive limited its chains to account for an influx of mechanics, Arcus Chroma limited its mechanics to allow for a wider web of chains. At the root of both of these games, and many other beloved fighters, is a combo system that Darkstalkers invented nearly 30 years ago. Despite its last new release happening in 1997, the legacy of Darkstalkers lives on in almost every fighting game on the market today. Along with chain combos, Darkstalkers was the first fighting game to have air dashing, EX moves, and a multi-leveled special meter. You can make a strong argument that Darkstalkers is the most influential fighting game of all time, right up there with Street Fighter II and the original Virtua Fighter. And at the root of it all is a combo system that turns the button masher into their own teacher. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. On screen now are 2 of my previous works. The video on the left looks at a really interesting fan-made Pokemon fighter, and the playlist on the right sees me learning Guilty Gear Plus R from scratch. Thanks for watching!